200 games. Does it seem that long?
Oh no, it's it feels very different to a player who goes through sort of ups and downs of injuries and all those sorts of things. But yeah, it's been a great honour to coach this club for as long as that, and some of the great players that I've had the pleasure of coaching. And not often as a coach you get a chance to sort of think back, and a few messages from past players have been really heartening this week, and just to you don't get a chance to sit back and reflect. And this is one of the few times just when ex-players are sending messages that you do reflect on what a great opportunity it's been to coach this club for so long.
It couldn't come along at a more important time, crucial time.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not about me. It's clearly the result of this game is a lot more important than any sort of milestone that comes my way. But it has been an honour to coach this club, but we're clearly at a really important juncture of the season, and we'll use whatever we can to our advantage to try and get the result.
You say, Brad, as a coach, you don't have to put up with the injuries. There was that back injury that laid you low a few years ago, though.
Yeah, I thought you might bring that up. I was hoping you might skim over that, but yeah, it was more bad timing than anything. But I thought once playing finished that the injuries of playing would have been in the past, but one came back up to bite me. But no, not too many coaches miss with injury, do they? So that's not something I'm too happy about.
We've asked you every week this year, have you started thinking about finals? Is it in the conversation? You have to this week, surely?
Yeah, well, it's just the stage of the season now where we need to get the job done. I mean, I've been really consistent in the fact that we're not looking at external results and other results and things that need to go our way. It's just about what's in our control. And last week was in our control, and it was a disappointing result for us, but we move on really quickly because we have to, and we get the opportunity again this week to a large extent, I think, control our own destiny. And from our perspective, it's just win 2 games, and that's all we can control.
Ben Jacobs, how concerned are you about him, and where's he at the moment?
No, not concerned at all. Not concerned. I'm concerned that he's not playing. But in terms of, I think the question is more about his long-term future. No, we're not. We've had assurances that he's fine. In terms of the medium to long term, I've said consistently that he's very close to playing, so that would suggest that we're not concerned about his long term future. If we were concerned about that, we'd just put him on ice and say he's not going to play again in 2018. But while this week might be a stretch, depending on what he does today, we're still optimistic about the next week. So that just again speaks to how close he is to playing.
Has he done much training, Brad?
Yeah, he's been able to do a fair bit in terms of running and strength work, and just making sure that he keeps his load up to the level that means that when his symptoms are fully clear, he can come straight back in and play. But it's fair to say it's been at the low level, and he hasn't done any match practice or game simulation.
Are you expecting him to train with the main group today?
Unlikely, I'd say. He'll do some work inside. He'll do a warm up and some endurance work, but it'll be low level. And unless he feels absolutely symptom free, then we won't take him out on the track. And clearly, until that happens, he won't play.
What are the symptoms?
No, it's just general symptoms of some lightheadedness and dizziness, but it's not anything that all the experts are concerned about. They're just waiting for them to clear, and they're not significant, but they're enough to suggest that it's not worth the risk playing him. I'd suggest 10, 20 years ago he would have played already.
The review of last week's game, Brad, anything that sort of came up that you hadn't identified post-match?
No, it was all similar to what we spoke about post-game. I mean, we just, sometimes there are a lot of nuances to the game and a lot of things that you look at, but ultimately, if you can't get your hands on the ball in the contest and then you can't defend well to get it back, if you do lose the contest, all the rest doesn't matter. So that was something we couldn't get back on our terms quickly enough, and ultimately I think the coaches' votes probably reflect what both teams thought. I mean, the Bulldogs had at least the 5 best players on the ground, and I think they probably had the 6th and 7th best player on the ground. But ultimately we lost by 7 points. So that suggests when you get beaten so badly in one-on-one contests that you must be doing a lot else pretty well to keep the margin to that level.
The Brisbane game, obviously a hot one. Did you think that was a factor at all in the second half fade out?
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I mean, Brisbane lost the next week as well, and they're intangibles. I mean, whether they're a factor, it's impossible to tell, and not something that I'm concerned about, because the reasons for it, well, we just got to make sure we recover really well, and we've done that. So to suggest that was a factor, I think it'd be making excuses.
The record of this.
Sorry.
What have you made of the Crows?
Yeah, they've got their players back. I mean, one of the challenges, you look over 2016-17, they obviously set their club up really well in terms of medical staff, sports science. They had very few injuries for those 2 years, and this year that's been a big challenge for them. A lot of that, injuries are luck to a certain extent. Some things you can control, but they've been unlucky this year with a number of players out. But over the last month in particular, they've got the core of their group back. Still missing one or two, but since they've got their personnel back, they've looked like the Adelaide of old. So, we probably get them at a time where they're playing some pretty good footy, but we think that our best is still in front of us as well. So, shapes for a really good contest on Sunday.
You've probably been in every game this season, even ones that you've lost. I don't think you've lost 2 in a row more than once this season. So, I mean, have you seen a sense of resilience in the group this year compared to other years?
Yeah, I think we reflect the competition to a certain extent in that it's very, very close. Someone mentioned to me yesterday that we've played in 6 games that have been decided roughly within a goal, and we're 3-3 in those games. And it was suggested that if we were 5-1 in those close games, we'd be top 4. But I think if we were 1-5, we'd probably be in the lower reaches of the bottom 6. So that's just a reflection of the season. We think that it's tighter than ever. I think that the footy that Brisbane are playing in particular is really positive. So the competition's really tight, and if we produce our best, we're confident of playing anyone. But we also are well aware that if we're a bit off, anyone can beat us.
Yet to win a game at Adelaide Oval, Brad. Is that a concern?
Yeah, I'd like to have won them all. We actually, I think it's a great atmosphere at Adelaide. Now, I've always, even way back, I've enjoyed playing in Adelaide because they're a really educated crowd, and they are passionate about their football, and the Adelaide Oval's a fantastic venue to play at. Now, it hasn't been a happy hunting ground for us, but it's only a new stadium, so we've got plenty of time to rectify that, and we'll go about rectifying that this Sunday.
Can you identify anything that it is about the Oval?
No, the Oval's first class. The opposition's just been pretty good, and we haven't played our best, but that's our challenge. We'll bring our best and hope Adelaide bring theirs and see if we're good enough.
Billy Hartung returned in the VFL last week. Any chance of coming into the team this week?
I think it'll be a challenge for Billy. I mean, he'll certainly be in the mix, and we've missed his run, but he was on sort of graduated minutes last week, and he may need just one more before he comes right into senior selection. But we're running out of time a little bit, so we'll have to make a decision whether we roll the dice there a little bit. But he's certainly in the discussion, but we'd ideally like him to have played one more at this stage.
If you were to miss finals from this point, how disappointing would it be? Given your position earlier in the year.
Which was?
Well, midway through the season, we're just talking about you as a top 4 contender.
Oh, were you?
We were.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tight all year. I mean, it's been tight, the whole year. I mean, it's expectations shift. I mean, it depends what perspective you're talking from. I mean, if you're talking about us top 4 mid-year, I don't think you were talking that way at the start of the year. So, we've been really focused on improving our list, and we've made significant improvements this year in a really short space of time. So, making the finals is fantastic, and obviously that's why we play 22 home and away games, to try and qualify. But ultimately we want to be a team that qualifies for finals with a genuine chance of contending, and we really feel that we've got 2 games to try and prove that we're worthy contenders, and if we can do that, then come September anything can happen.
Big day for the club, Brad, with the fundraiser for the new development.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, this Arden Street precinct is one of the most exciting redevelopment opportunities in Melbourne, if not Australia. And we've got the Melbourne Metro train station, underground train station, going in 50 metres down the road. We've got this greater precinct being redeveloped on a scope that hasn't been seen since the Docklands redevelopment. So we've got to make sure that we get the next phase of our development off the ground this year, so that North Melbourne is a key tenant to what's going to be a huge redevelopment area. So we need to raise the funds for that. we'll look for contributions from government, from the AFL, but ultimately most of it's going to come from within. So, we've all got to contribute, players, coaches, staff, and we're certainly going to ask our members to contribute to what's going to be a legacy project for North Melbourne.